LGD's turn to ban. Orange's turn to ban.
Greetings and salutations, Dota fans. Welcome into this early week edition of the G-1 Champions League Asia Qualifier and one of the most highly anticipated matches on the way today, and a lot on the line for both of these squads. Let's start with Orange. Talking about Orange, the Malaysian Sensations rolling to play today a different squad from that which finished in the bottom half of the standings at the International 2. With the addition of star power that came with the signing of Net and Ohio at the end of January, Orange is a squad reborn, but one which is still directed by their original core and led by the indomitable Mushi in both the one position and the captain's chair. Since the addition of Net in Ohio, Orange has given the world good reason to believe they're even better than they were before, finishing first in the recent GEST Challenge #1 and hanging an ugly 3-0 trouncing around the necks of LGD International in the process. However, their performance in the G1 has been a little suspect, a little underwhelming. It's one thing to lose. It's another to drop an ugly Series 0-2 to a team many considered to be a little more than a curiosity before the beginning of Phase 2 in Rattlesnake. Orange has the talent, the mechanics, and the experience to rock any team, which makes the mistake of giving them space to operate. But as they now find themselves in the bottom of the standings and in a must-win situation to get back into contention for Group A, they'll need to take control early in the series and slam the door on LGD quickly. LGD China, one of the favorites to roll out of this group, and really to no surprise that they're a favorite to reach the live finals. They've given us little reason to doubt those predictions so far. What little we've seen of them in 2013 has been very encouraging, especially when you consider their luck in the group draw. The only team to have defeated them dating back to January was Invictus Gaming in the G League semifinals, and Invictus has landed in Group B, while LGD China finds themselves at the top of the standings in Group A. Their most recent win is an impressive one as well. They were able to get past their international counterparts to lead off Phase 3 and set the tone for a group which is thus far much more competitive than Group B. LGD takes on Orange today, but as strong as their opponents happen to be, they've already shown some weaknesses, being on the bad end of a stunning loss sustained against the surging Rattlesnake squad in their debut here in Phase 3. A team that can grind out and pressure almost any team on the planet when they're playing well. LGD will be looking to expose and exploit the same weaknesses Rattlesnake was able to exploit last week. So basically the state of things is that Orange is really up against it. If Orange doesn't win here today, they're going to find themselves in a must-win situation against LGD International. And if they lose there, they're out. They are donezo. Their run in G1 is complete. So for them to be able to extend their hopes of making it out of this group and making it into the latter stages of Phase 3, they really, really need a win here, because LGD International, even though Orange was able to beat them last time, Orange has been showing a little bit of shaky play recently. So taking a look at the early picks and bans, the Lone Druid, the Shadow Demon banned out by Orange. We've got Lifestealer and Nyx Assassin taken out by LGD Gaming. What jumps out immediately, though, is LGD picking up Brewmaster and Luna. Now, I'll tell you what I really, really like about both of these heroes, especially in conjunction with the Bad Rider. The core 3 that LGD has right now is so strong in the early phases of the game. When you're talking about trying to take towers at 8 minutes in, 10 minutes in, not letting the game just grind its way out through the laning phase, but looking to break that down. Luna has a ton of split push potential because of Glaives. Bad Rider in his initiation with Lasso, of course, absolutely massive. The Eclipse that comes out of Luna, not to mention the flat damage bonus of Lunar Blessing, all synergize as well with a Brewmaster who will be an unbelievably strong anchor hero in this kind of a lineup. Once he hits level 6, split at level 6 is just devastating. A Brewmaster who gets to a quick 6, obviously if he goes mid, he'll get there the quickest. Don't know that we'll see him go there with a Bad Rider already on the board, though. But if he does get there, you can honestly use split in just about 1 versus 2 at level 6. So that, honestly, is how early LGD can start to pressure towers if they really, really want to. Now, the versatility of this lineup is really, really strong as well. Bad Rider and Brewmaster can both solo the off lane if they really, really want to. Both tend to crave a mid position. Luna obviously works well out of a tri-lane, but she can effectively offensively and defensively tri-lane depending on the supporting staff that they pick up to go with her. So the laning versatility is there from LGD. Makes it very difficult for Orange to be able to match up against them and predict their lanes, especially at this early phase in the draft. On the side of Orange, we've got Magnus, Leshrac, and Weaver. No carry pickup right now, and probably no real reason to worry too much about it. And yeah, I mean, looking at LGD's bans out here in the second phase, they are going to want to push the envelope early. And I talked about this a bit with the viewers. I mentioned it during my opening monologue. LGD, well, let me flip the script a little bit. Orange needs a game 1 win. I don't think Orange is going to be able to take a series that goes to 3 games. I just don't. Given the way that they've been playing, giving some reports that have been leaking out that I'm not going to get into because they're not confirmed, and all that, they are just not the most stable team playing right now. They have so much talent, it is genuinely absurd. But at the same time, when you're in this mode, when you're beginning to feel a little shaky, coming off of a tough loss against Rattlesnake, it becomes very difficult to be able to take a series against a group favorite, an LGD, unless you're able to get off to a quick start. And LGD looking to knock them out of that. We can see the bands, the Darkseer, the Queen of Pain, and the Tinker. Those are 3 heroes that would give a lot of stability to Orange's lineup. So LGD not even concerned about a primary carry. I mean, Weaver obviously can farm out of a tri-lane if they really want him to, but usually you'll see Weaver wind up in a situation where he's going to be in an off lane or something like that, with 1 more carry taking the majority of the farm, and then Weaver will contribute as the game wears on. And just by virtue of nothing but Geminate attack, he's able to get a lot more damage output than he would from a minimum number of items, survivability that comes with his inherent skill set in Shikuchi and his ultimate, to say nothing of if he wants to go with a survivable build like a Lincoln Sphere. So Orange has options open to them, but with the Disruptor pickup now from LGD, again, LGD wants to win this game quick. They want to start pressuring towers quickly, and Orange has got to be a little worried right now. I mean, when you look at all the ways, right now, Orange is completely all in on Magnus for teamfight, basically. I mean, Leshrac, obviously, with his AoE that comes off of Edict, off of Pulse Nova, and off of Split Earth, he's going to be able to do the damage, but he is squishy and will stay squishy throughout the majority of the game. Magnus is really that anchor hero, similar to a Brewmaster that you want to have when you're up against this kind of a lineup, but they have a lot of ways to take Magnus out of the fight. Blink Lasso, Brewmaster able to initiate onto him, not to say anything of Disruptor being able to lay down Static Storm, catch him in a kinetic field, even glimpse him back if they catch Orange in a less than optimal retreat situation. Orange does pick up the Chaos Knight, so that opens the door for them to actually go with a Wisp with their final pick if they really want to. But looking at LGD, I don't think they're going to offensively tri-lane this. The Disruptor just is not that good in that role. Gyrocopter is still available, though, and a support Gyrocopter would make this lineup out of LGD just absolutely monstrous in terms of level 6 team fight. And I think that's something they're going to want to keep in their back pocket. I mean, you see a CK pick up. CK is excellent at what he does, which is fighting in the mid-game phases, which, again, is where I think LGD really wants to try and get their win. That's where they want to try and hit their stride. So the CK pickup, I don't mind so much. But picking up a Wisp here means they're going to be very, very thin once LGD decides to go ahead and start running 5-man Dota. Not to say that's definitely going to be the pick. It might not be. But the way to counter CK, the way to counter a Wisp and a Chaos Knight sort of a draft, is just to run as 5. And now with Sand King, I mean, look at the pure amount of damage that LGD is going to be able to pour out here. I mean, it is utterly absurd. The magic damage alone, coming out of the Firefly damage, coming out of Clap, coming out of Epicenter and Burrow Strike, coming out of Disruptor. I mean, this is just an unbelievably solid team once you get past about 10 to 15 minutes. I mean, the 20 to 30 minute window is going to be absolute hell for Neolution Orange. I mean, I honestly struggle to see how they're going to be able to deal with this. It's all going to be about Magnus, but their AoE potential is okay, but it's nowhere near on the same footing that LGD's is so far. And taking their time to talk over this last pickup, I mean, picking a Wisp into this would just be so ballsy. I don't think that's the plan, because if that was the plan, they would have certainly done it already. They're going to go ahead and grab a Bane. So I don't mind that, but the CK pickup here is really worrisome to me. Really, really worrisome to me. He's going to be able to farm. They may just offensively tri-lane this, and that might be the plan. But even so, offensively tri-laning into a Luna is a risky proposition at absolute best. Again, because of Lunar Blessing in particular, the flat damage bonus that comes from Lunar Blessing cannot be underestimated. And where CK and a lineup like a CK plus a Leshrac, as deadly as that can be when you're talking about a Nightmare followed up with a Chaos Bolt, followed up with a Split Earth, and so on and so forth, as deadly as that can be, and as deadly as that certainly is, you're still going to be out right-clicked for the most part. I mean, you're still going to be out right-clicked by a team that gets the damage bonus that, again, comes off of a Lunar Blessing. We're talking 14 flat damage bonus at level 1 if she decides to focus it. That starts to feel really, really tough to deal with. And all that they really need to do to stay stable down here is work on a couple of levels. If they can just get through the early phases without giving up a death to Orange, if Orange does offensively tri-lane this, which, again, I really suspect they will. I mean, you don't really pick a CK to sit back and farm, or if you do, you sit him back and farm him very briefly. You do it for the first few minutes of a laning phase. but then you start to look to move around, which is why his pairing with Wisp is one of the most popular ways to run him. He is going to be handled by Mushi, so will be certainly some farming going on. We've got 4 down in the jungle now from Orange, and we can already see how much emphasis is being placed onto this lane. I'm sure we'll see a sentry or a ward go down at some point to block off this pull camp. Up at top, Batrider looks to be setting up shop near off lane, and yeah, will be a mid Brewmaster. I really like the decision to send Brewmaster mid right now, just because as essential as a Blink Dagger is to a Batrider's ability to initiate, and especially to grab this guy right here, to get his hands on a high priority target like a Magnus, it just isn't nearly as important as a Brewmaster getting to a quick 6, being able to find a hold on. Sylar's going to need a Chaos Bolt. That's 2 seconds. There's the Burrow Strike. Caught 2. Follow-up Split Earth has Sylar locked down, but he will be able to make it away with half health. He will be skewered. The right clicks might be there, and they will. As we see Net adding first blood to the tally, using that Brain Sap. Wonderful start from Orange and exactly what they needed. I really love that they hung around a little bit longer than they honestly would have in most circumstances, just waiting to see someone pop out. And yeah, we already see this ward down. That's a piece out to that camp, and yeah, up here as well. So a lot of emphasis going to be placed on this lane for Orange. And really, this is going to be the make or break moment. I mean, that first blood going to Bane certainly helps him out, gets him off to a good start. These other lanes, when we look at a Magnus up against a Brewmaster, that should be more or less a wash. Batrider against a Weaver, basically the same thing. So these 2 lanes should basically come out even, outside of just pure individual skill difference. But down here, this is where all that action's going to be. I'm going to try and run through our lineups as quickly as we can. We'll have Xiao playing on our Brewmaster. We're going to have Sylar, as mentioned, who gave up our first blood on the Luna. Batrider will be handled by Yao, and we're going to have Sand King played by DDC, while Disruptor is handled by Long DD. On the other side of the river, CK going to be handled by Mushi, as mentioned. Going to have X playing on our Leshrac. Bane will be played by Ned, while Weaver is under the control of K, and we'll have Ohio playing our Magnus here in mid. No surprise there. Now, again, the paint that's going to be traded in this Radiant side jungle. This is up. Kinetic field goes down. X trying to make a run for the river. Sylar's going to be there. Can they catch him? Can they catch him? No, they cannot. So X does manage to make it away. LGD unable to get the reprisal kill for the moment. Looking at the early CS, we can see that Mushi's way ahead of Luna so far, sitting at 7-1, and this is a bad situation for Sylar. He honestly has 6 points of experience, so Sylar is definitely being zoned out. This offensive tri-lane coming out of Orange, very, very potent so far, getting that great start with the early death in the jungle. Just about all that they needed to be able to play this as confidently as they are. Now, one of the big weaknesses of a Disruptor, and I talked about this, and this is why that death was so important up at top. Let's see, yeah, actually Weaver chasing back the Batrider. And Weaver can be very, very annoying. The amount of damage that Shukuchi outputs is really just kind of absurd. And it's easy to fall into the trap of kind of falling asleep on it. Certainly not going to be what Yao allows to happen, but you can find yourself quite low and scrambling for the tower, even in the best of circumstances. But this tri-lane, when you look at, like, for example, the Burrow Strike potential out of DDC, Burrow Strike's a great ability at all phases of the game, but it is very short. It's one of the few abilities where the range goes up every point that goes into it. So Sand King gets better and better in lane just because of that, just because of the AoE expanding at least laterally in terms of how many you can potentially catch, the range at which you can initiate. You can use it as an escape mechanism in conjunction with Sandstorm and so on. So he needs levels. Long DD, the same story. Disruptor does not have the most solid lane presence in the world. He's a very squishy target. And as awesome as Kinetic Field is an ability that takes your current positioning and makes it better, basically. Hang on, DDC going to go ahead and spin a Sandstorm. There goes the sentry down, but no follow-up coming out of Orange. Mushi did pull back there, decided not to spin the Chaos Bolt, and wisely so. Just continuing to get his farm. Had 17 last hits now to the 2 of Luna. An absolute dominant performance so far out of Orange. When we take a look at the experience, Bane's already level 2, Disruptor level 1, DDC's level 2. Leshrac is level 2 as well. Mushi sitting at level 3, and Sylar is just level 1. Oh, that's awful. Terrible situation for him to be in. Already falling behind this much, and traditionally, the common knowledge is that when you run an offensive tri-lane where you are going to suffer, even if you are able to zone the opponents out and get the best in terms of last hits, is you are going to tend to do much worse in terms of experience, and that just has not been the case. Sylar, the lowest level on the board right now, and a hero who can very ill afford to be that low, to be outclassed by his opponents. A little bit more damage being done to Yao now up at top. But so far, other than the first blood, all's more or less quiet on all fronts. Back to, yeah, we can see Magnus actually made his way up the top, grabbed himself a haste room, or didn't grab himself, popped a haste room. And now there's a nightmare on DDC. They may want to follow this up. There's the split earth, and Mushi on a reality rift. Kinetic field is down. 1 second chaos bolt, but it doesn't matter. Just too much damage output, too much synergy out of these heroes. And with the inability of LGD to really get in their face and fight confidently at this stage, that's just something that's going to happen over and over again. LGD very much hurting at the hands. And yeah, we're going to see Weaver just go for this. There's a flame break, but is able to run him off of the tower. In all phases right now, Orange is really looking strong. Even here in mid, we can see the Magnus doing quite well in the face of the Brewmaster. Brewmaster is on top at 30, but obviously Magnus quite happy to take the 20 he has at 5 minutes in, much better than a Magnus mid will often be able to get. And yeah, I mean, that's the level of desperation we're hitting now with Sylar. He's level 3, so he has soaked up a bit more experience, but he's having to use Lucent Beam just the last hit. Mushi already at level 4. Nets at level 3. Leshrac at level 3. Up. Another Chaos Bolt spin on Sylar. 3 second Chaos Bolt this time as well. Follow-up Split Earth. There is the glimpse, but honestly, it just does him a favor. They may be able to get a... Nah, not quite. Going to be able to get the return kill on Net. Already 3-0. And Orange in an absolutely dominant position right now. And we can already see Weaver laying in to the top tier 1 as well. And so far, I mean, and I talked about this during the draft. I talked about this with the viewership as well. This is exactly what Orange needed. Orange coming into this match, and it's very rare that an Orange and that a squad as talented as Orange, a squad with as much name recognition and as big a fan base as Orange has. It's very rare they're going to come in the underdogs in a match. But up against LGD China, they did. And given how shaky things had looked for them recently, it was real important that they got off to a good start, that the laning phase was not a break-even proposition, especially against the lineup that LGD drafted. LGD, again, with a very mid-game-centric item. Luna's going to give you plenty of late-game carry potential, but Orange says, you know what, that's fine. We're just going to pick a CK, and we're going to make it work. Leshrac, Bane, CK, showing just how strong of a lane that can easily be. Now, as we look at the experience, Sylar is catching up a bit. He's the level 3.5. But Chaos Knight almost level 5. Leshrac is about halfway to level 5 as well, and now some movement. Bane making his way throughout the river. Zhao 8 is level 7 if he wants to come help. Level 7 for Magnus as well, so he's going to have reverse polarity to draw upon. Luna still hurting very badly in terms of items. She's just going to go straight for an Aquile, it would seem. Picking up her Bassi now, and Orange being forced up under their tower. That's going to free things up a little bit here. And yeah, I mean, we can already see Yao has had enough of this top lane against this Weaver. Weaver running him out completely. And he's just setting up shop now in the jungle and jungling to try and play catch up a little bit. So great play out of Orange in top lane as well as in bottom. Mid, Magnus not doing quite as well as he'd like. The top on the board is Zhao 8, so that's at least a win for the moment out of LGD, but they're going to have to get a lot of value out of that Brewmaster. Brewmaster, a hero that has a best by date by nature of his own design. His ult, as amazing as it is, Split is fantastic in a variety of situations. It's an anchor, a great anchor ability, great initiation and counter initiation ability, but the later the game goes, it starts to feel a lot less potent. We're going to see Weaver go ahead and take a tier 1 at top, so another nice little infusion of gold into the back pockets of Orange. And Mushi opting to go straight up to his treads. He can actually buy a set of drums right now if he really wants to. I think that would be a great choice. I mean, given the start he's had, given the great position he's in, go ahead and just play as stable as you can. Drums helps a lot with his mana pool. It'll let him fight a lot more extended fights, a lot more often here in the early phases. Get up a set of drums, go straight for the armlet after that. Then you can look at the situation and decide what's warranted. Do you want to be KB? So on and so forth. Just very, very many options open to him, at least momentarily. But back to the Luna. She's picked up her Bassi. She may honestly just sit on that too. She may not even decide to build it into a Ring of Aquile. But if she does, it'll help certainly out with her mana pool, some base stats and so on and so forth, make her a little bit better. But this laning phase I don't think is going to last much longer, to be blunt. Given how well things have gone everywhere at the moment for Orange, and given how much split push potential they actually have on the back of Weaver and Leshrac, I'd be surprised if they let this go a whole lot longer before they just start pressing towers as 4 and 5. Here in mid, yeah, and we can already see. There's another tier 1 gone as Magnus pops the DD room, taking advantage of the absence of Zhao Wei. Zhao Wei does have his Blink Dagger. Now, that is very essential. In terms of just pure AoE initiation, they are going to have the advantage, no doubt about it. That's the team that they drafted for. It's what they drafted to abuse at this stage of the game. And as good as 3-0 is, it's mostly the gold elsewhere that has given them this lead. The kills, as again, are valuable. But 5,000 gold advantage coming up on 7,500, it would seem, if and when it's going to jump there. 3,000 gold, give or take, or 3,000 experience, I should say. That's all due almost entirely to just the grinding it out much better than them. I mean, we look and see 3 of the top 4 farmers on the board right now, all belonging to Orange. And just really good laning. That first blood helped a ton. And just the inherent weaknesses in long DDs, Disruptor, as well as Sand King, being very limited both in mana and in terms of his initiation range, his ability to use Burrow Strike effectively because it was so low level and because he is yet to really have a chance to catch up and get back on par where he wants to be. I mean, he's level 4 now, and yeah, we can actually see he's gone to mid. They need him to get much better levels. They need him to be on par or ahead of his opponents in almost every situation. And yeah, this is kind of what I expected. First opportunity, we see Magnus making his way down with an Invis rune. Oh, there it is. Oh, RP actually going to be canceled. Now he's going to catch 2 more. Kinetic Field is up. Orange follows it up beautifully. What an amazing chain of initiation. The patience of both Magnus and the Leshrac to let that fight come to them. This is looking ugly for LGD. They did almost no damage, let alone being able to do something like hold that fight together, being able to get a return kill. They're certainly not going to be able to keep this tower up. 11 minutes in, and already the sphere of influence LGD can have has shrunk immeasurably. They've lost all of their tier 1s. Luna has had a horrendous start. Luna, at 26 last hits at 11 minutes, is simply unacceptable for this lineup. This is not something they could have allowed to happen, and they let Orange pull the trigger there. Zhao 8 was down there. He actually bounced around quite a bit. Still has split if he wants to use it. Now we're going to have a nightmare. They're going to go for it. There's going to be the clap and the split. We're going to see X focused out. CK going to be tossed by the air aspect. Net now in trouble. Leshrac continues to be chased. DDC's right behind them. There's a rock going to catch X. Now the battle rages back behind the tower. CK still up and running, but they will be able to clean up Net. In the meantime, Brewmaster able to go ahead and notch a kill on Leshrac. And Bad Rider not done. Gonna use Flame Break to try and pursue Mushi. Mushi gonna go ahead and use the drums. Blink Dagger not ready for 10 seconds, but Weaver now showing himself doing just enough damage to keep the Blink Dagger off of cooldown. 3 seconds now. Mushi gonna spend a 4-second Chaos Ball. There's the lasso though. Gonna bring him back into the kinetic field. And the follow-up Burrow Strike. DDC following up his team. And finally, LGD shows the signs of life. But no, the battle's going to continue. There's a Nightmare and a Shockwave to follow it up. Yao's in trouble. Going to be brought down by Weaver. Now Long DD forced to spin another kinetic field. Lucid Beam, not enough. One auto attack from inside of the kinetic field, enough to bring him down from max range. Make it 3-11. We have 14 kills on the board. 12 and a half minutes into this game, and the vast majority of them belonging to the Malaysian sensations led by Mushi. Great draft, great counter draft, if I do say so. I was a little bit skeptical of the CK pick. I really and genuinely was. But they made it work for them. And now, Siler. He's going to be interrupted out of that. But, the RP actually going to be spent. And, yeah, 13-3. They're about to take a tier 2 here. They might be able to pressure another one after this as well. Creep's going to be pulled by Mushi. And the glyph is up, but what can they even do right now? Brewmaster splits on cooldown another 80 seconds. That is basically their only form of concerted initiation. Lasso helps a ton, but with Disruptor not even level 6 yet, he's still not even level 5 yet. And this is just getting out of hand. 10,000 gold the advantage to Orange. We're talking 7,500 experience going their way as well. And this is just a woodshed beating, is what this is. Not to say that LGD does not have the ability to get back into this, but they need to start right now. They can't lose another team fight. They can't lose another tower, or this is just going to snowball on them. Taking a look at CK, he did go ahead and decide to get up his drums. He's actually going to skip the armlet, though, and go right for BKB. Can't say I hate that, given the proliferation of magic damage on the side of LGD. When you look at, I mean, just the pure output potential from Firefly AoE damage, from Disruptor from the Sand King and so on and so forth, to say nothing of Lucent Beam and Eclipse. It's just a wise pickup from Mushi, very stable. Not quite as showy, and not going to allow him to just dominate opponents quite like an Armlet would. But Weaver also going a survivability build as well, as added the Ultimate Orb, most likely on his way to a Lincoln Sphere. Gonna make him nigh unkillable, given he has his ult and Shikuchi. And they're gonna try and grab him. And yeah, he hung around a little too long there. We saw LGD smoke up just behind the tower, so at the very least, even if it's not the biggest return kill in history in terms of pure practicality, certainly makes him feel a whole lot better about the way the last 15 minutes have gone. It's hard to believe it's 15 minutes into this game, and LGD only has 2 outer tier towers remaining. I mean, that is absurd. No one would have predicted this. I love Orange, and I love LGD both. But even on their good days, I would not have expected Orange to just be beating, and I mean beating, LGD as badly as they are right now. Again, that CK pick I thought was suspect, but getting off to a good start with the first blood, they played the lane out perfectly. They showed great patience in these team fights, not just spending abilities to spin them, holding off, even canceling the RP once or twice. The splitters, by the way, have been dead on the money from Leshrac, from X. He has just hit everything he has needed to hit in perfect synchronicity with the rest of his team. And they're not done. They're continuing to 5-man, and I love this. We'll see if Weaver wants to hook up with him or not. Weaver can honestly just go top and split push right now. And there we go. Joey's going to initiate. There's the clap and the split. 4-second Chaos Bolt going to catch SK. We're going to see Ned end up dropping. DDC in trouble now, though. And Orange is just so big. Mushi doesn't care that he was initiated on. He is just swinging from the fences. We're going to see, here comes the Lucent Beam, though, and the RP spit. Going to lock down long DD. We've got a buyback from Bane in the meantime, but just look at this. Orange, Zhao Wade able to track down the Leshrac, but he will end up paying the price. 2-second Chaos Bolt, more than enough. That's a 5-man wipe. That's going to be the death of one tier 1. It's 18-6. And that went about as well as it could have for LGD, and they still ended up feeding 5 for 2. Bane did die and did buy back and rejoin the fight. And obviously Lesh, who's down now, did die as well. But LGD is just being outclassed. And this is so entertaining to see, because I think it validates the opinion of myself as well as others who had talked it over, that Orange really needed to get off to a good start. And they've shown that. They picked a lineup that was basically all in on CK in that tri-lane. If it goes the other way around and CK gives up first blood and Luna is bullying him around, this lineup just loses at 25 minutes. More or less, just flat out loses. Because then you'll have, I mean, and to take nothing away, by the way, of the fantastic performance of Weaver. I haven't talked a whole lot about him, but dominating that top lane to the point he ran the Bad Rider out of lane has a lot to do with this as well. And Magnus going pure mobility. He's actually added a 4-staff to his inventory as well as a Blink Dagger. So, Ohio, not looking to be in the wrong place at the wrong time ever, ever, ever. And Weaver making his way again, most likely towards that Lincoln's. BKB's only about 600 gold away. And LGD just trying to make something happen, man. Smoking into the jungle, but nobody's there. Nobody's home. And that basically sums up this game, what just happened. Just a flat-out nobody's home moment. You smoke, maybe you get a tier 1. Maybe. Nope, they're not even going to get that. TP reactions will be there in plenty of time. So they basically smoke. They paid for the privilege of losing a tier 2, more or less, right there. And it has just not been a great game for LGD. I loved their lineup and the way they drafted it. Their execution just nowhere near on par with Orange so far. Their inventory is still rather barren, but finally some items coming out. Yao with his Blink Dagger, long DD. Next to nothing. DDC is level 7, does have Epicenter to show us at some point in the near future. Sylar will be going for drums here. And yeah, he's opting not to go, opting not to complete the Aqua Lane. Drums in this situation I worry a little bit about. It's arguably the most cost-efficient item in the game, just to stabilize you, just to help you out with mana, to help you out with health, to help you out with a variety of things. Helps your whole team in a small way, and obviously the charges on it help in these early team fights. But I honestly would just about be willing to get behind something, basically an item pickup that they need to try and swing this game back in their favor. Because, I mean, 15,000 gold in 19 minutes. This is not a game they can grind themselves back into. I mean, CK's a hero who is not known for his late-game carry potential so much as his ability to just get kills and be effective early on. But a CK will just beat your face to a pulp if he gets way ahead. And Mushi certainly way ahead right now. Taking a look at the kills and the deaths. We can see 6 and 2 on Bane, 4 and 0 on Magnus, 4 and 1 on the Weaver, 2 and 1 on Mushi, 2, 1 and 10 on Mushi, by the way. So, I mean, they are just swinging from the shoelaces and hitting absolutely everything that they throw. Top 3 net worth also belonging to Orange. So this is not a game that LGD can hope to grind their way back into. And I would honestly, and that's exactly why I think an item choice like a Shadow Blade even would be somewhat wise. Give Luna a chance to actually make a play. Give Luna a chance to do something other than hit Eclipse, run in, and then run out of the fight and hope she doesn't die. I mean, an early BKB would certainly help a bit as well. Would help her from being locked down by the myriad of stuns that Orange has at their disposal. BKB, by the way, done on Mushi now, so that's no longer a problem for him equally. But with how far ahead these supports are getting, I mean, geez, Leshrak's already got himself a point booster. And it's not, I mean, it's fairly uncommon to see a Leshrak in a situation like this in particular where if anyone's going to be building a mech on this team, it's going to be him or Bane. Bane, he's got 1,100 gold, so it looks like it'll likely be him and Sylar. In the wrong place, wrong time. Don't go out in the dark when there is a Mushi on the prowl. 19-6, a death they could ill afford. And Orange now looking to take possibly the lone remaining outer tier tower, which is absurd to say at 21 minutes into this game. But map control, to say that Orange has map control is to put it politely. And Zhao 8 does do a little bit of damage trying to ward them off here. And here we go. They're going to catch out Zhao 8. So dead. I mean, what can you even do there when the other team is hitting you that hard? BKB's pop. They're going to pursue out long DD, and he would have gotten 3-shot. He ends up getting cleaned up by Leshrak with lightning. But if Mushi swung one more time, he would have 3-shot a hero at 22 minutes into this game. And it doesn't matter if he critted or not. Now Zhao's going to re-engage. There's a burrow strike. Going to catch a couple. Now the lasso's there. Finally! They put the pieces together. They're going to be able to get the Magnus. Net, though, able to get himself back up into fighting shape. Brewmaster uses the split and is now trying to pursue this out. Make this better. What a nightmare out of Net. Net continuing to try to run will finally be tracked down. So they do manage to finally get a marginal win under their belt. X will be cleaned up here as well. But it cost them buybacks and it cost them a number of deaths to begin with. So even though they hold that last tower up, it costs them very dearly. 9-21. And maybe looking to take their first tower of the game. I mean, that's how badly this game has gone. All of the tier 1s still remain up until this moment for Orange. This tier 1 should be a casualty, though, so... LGD showing signs of life and trying to make the bleeding stop. And that's basically what they accomplished there. And there's a Lincoln Sphere popped by Lucent Beam. Actually, that might have been Disruptor. Yeah, it was. He tried to glimpse Weaver back. But Weaver now with his Lincoln Sphere done. Mushi gonna get the deny on the towers, so even LGD can't even get that going for them. BKB looks to be the choice now on Sylar. And very schizophrenic item build on Sylar so far. Got the Bassi, thought it was going to be an Aquile, then he got behind, then we saw the Bracer, so you assume it's drums, but now the Ogre Club's there. Helps with his health pool, certainly, and I had mentioned that would be a viable option just to make him less susceptible to the amazing chain stuns, the amazing chain of initiation that Orange has showed us so far. But, I mean, the punching power is just not there. They had everything go right for them they possibly could. And they got a team fight. So we saw there the potential is there. But for them to be able to really reclaim a grasp on this game, they're going to have to do that a bunch more. That one fight helped, but they lost the tower anyway. I mean, I just had the camera there. Yeah, this is a frowny-based tower. And that was the last outer tier tower remaining for LGD on top of everything else. And we can already see the warding. Very aggressive coming out of Orange. They want to apply pressure. They don't want to even open the door for LGD to try and play catch-up just by grinding out some farm. And at this point, I'd be surprised if they spent much time at all on their side of the river unless it's in the Roche pit. I'm a little surprised they're not just doing Roche. Yeah, it looks like they are thinking it now. But with Split down in particular, Split should be back up momentarily. And with Long DD now finally having access to his ult. And then, we saw the difference in that already. But yeah, now Roshan going to be the target, and I don't know that they can challenge this. Epicenter's going to be there if they wanted. It's just level 1, so just level 9 on Sand King so far. He's hurting in levels. Brewmaster does have split available now. It is going to be level 2 split. So that gives him a bit more potential. But they're going to have to go real soon. And if they go, it's going to be without Sylar. Sylar getting some much-needed farm. But if they go as 4 here, I think they're just going to lose an Aegis and another team fight. And there's Roshan gone. Mushi was not the one who got it. It's Magnus, actually, who picks up the Aegis. He's on a way to a BKB of his own now. Ogre Club in his inventory. Jim picked up on the Leshrac, so they'll be looking to take away as much vision as they can. Luna, not super far away from a BKB. Couple hundred more gold. She'll be able to buy that in one big shot. Get the recipe plus the Mithril Hammer. Mushi has picked up a Sange. One would imagine, it could be very well be an S&Y, which is not a horrible pickup on a mid-game centric hero like a CK. But I would honestly just about prefer a Heaven's Halberd. Get the Halberd out, run up to Luna and go, you can't hit me anymore, and I have a BKB, therefore I win. I win at life. And, it's LGD, again. We saw, and that's what's really, that I think what you can't see my mouse cursor because I have it disabled on the stream. But if you look between the two marks, right at about 22, 23 minutes, that slight dip up from halfway to 20,000 to right at 15,000 on the line, that marks the biggest win that LGD has had this game. That really puts it in perspective. That was the biggest turnaround LGD had in the entire game. And it barely registers in the face of the momentum and the execution of Orange and what they've shown us in these first 26 minutes. A truly dominant performance, and LGD scrambling to find a way to get that back and under their control. 4 staff complete now on Yao, so he's got some mobility. Sylar did go ahead and pick up the entirety of his BKB. And Orange now just taking away the jungle. Just saying, that's fine. You guys can farm out of your 2 lanes, because if you show up in bottom, you show up in your jungle, we're just going to kill you. And if you show up as 5, we're just going to kill you in a team fight. It is fine. Not enough farm to go around. And poor Oliver Twist, known as Luna, still trying to get a little bit more wherever she can. Drums, possibly a choice here. Lifesteal doesn't make any sense right now, given how far behind they are. So, just trying to play stable. Drums would make sense, especially given she has invested in the Bracer already. Sentry Ward up here, just to make sure there's no vision. And yeah, Mushi just does not care. Sitting on top of the steps, using Empower. Shockwave certainly helps, and now Xiaoyi's going to initiate. There's the BKB up, and they're going to catch him. Oh, wow, the damage and the RP to follow it up. DDC cleaned up as well. There's a good burrow strike. Now Orange might be in some trouble as Luna decides to re-engage. So tanky, though. They spent everything and only got Bane. They spent everything they had. They got the Static Storm, the Eclipse down. They got everything off. They just about could. They didn't get the Brewmaster ulti. They didn't get Epicenter, but what they had to show, they got off. But Mushi and company just blowing up Brewmaster. Brew never had a chance. Never had a chance. And now LGD still trying to hold on to tier 3. And it looks like Orange is actually going to back here. Not a bad call. Mushi just going to go right on back to farming. No problem. 2,000 gold in the bank. If he is going to go S&Y, we'll probably know it in about 100 gold. Yep. We'll see what he wants to pick up here. He might even just, he doesn't even need to worry about buyback really at this stage. Just about the worst that could happen if they lose a fight on the other side of the, yeah, it is going to be S&Y. Just picked up his Yasha. Which is fine. Don't mind that one little bit. And really, the right clicks out of Luna certainly not exactly the biggest threat in the known history of man right now. If Luna wants her drum, she'll have it momentarily. Keep an eye on her. Back to Yao. Nothing much to report so far as his items. Zhao is going to be trying to get himself an Ags. It'll be a very late Ags, though, unless things really go their way in the next few minutes. He's only got a point booster. Should be able to add an Ogre Club to his inventory in about 150 gold, though, so he is making progress. Ohio, still sitting on that Ogre Club, has not even brought it into his inventory yet. He's got 1,200 gold towards his BKB, and should be there pretty soon. But, I mean, and this is just perfect play out of Orange. Fall back, heal up, still got the Aegis, don't worry about it. Aegis is still going to be up for another minute and a half, so they've got time to regroup, to get everything together, get everything off of cooldown. Phantasm will be off of cooldown in about 10 seconds. Magnus with his RP up and ready to roll. And having the Aegis means he can play a little ballsy here. And Siler going to expose himself. Pulls the creeps back. And the siege from the low ground begins. MKB likely to be the choice now on our Weaver. Yep, just completes it. Didn't even notice it was on the way. That's going to allow him to siege from the low ground. He'll be able to set up shop right about here and just slowly peck away at that tower with no miss percentage whatsoever. And that puts LGD in the not optimal situation of either just flat out losing your tier 3 for free because of the patience of Orange and their ability to siege you in like this, or engage out into them. And now they're just going to go for it. Siler going to be RP'd. There's the lasso, but it doesn't matter. Siler's gone. Net's still up and alive. Looks like we might lose Ohio, but there's the Aegis pop. He'll be back up. Here comes the epicenter, finally showing itself. Very little to show for it, but as the BKBs come out, this should probably be our last fight. Siler just being utterly pounded by Mushi. And yep, now, see this? See that? That's a very unhappy Sand King. That Sand King went from full health to no health with the click of approximately 2 keys on a keyboard. The damage output out of Orange is just monstrous. And yeah, 2. They may be able to clean up Mushi here. Nope, never mind. Good skewer from Ohio. As another kill, Zhao 8 going to be cleaned up as well. And yeah, GG's going to come out. A foregone conclusion for most everyone. What a dominant performance out of Orange. I mean, truly. If they had been playing, and no disrespect to Chain Stack, but, you know, a team that's a little bit below the rest of the field here at G1 and they did this, it would still be an extremely dominant performance. They just did this to LGD China. They didn't just do this to any team or, you know, a team that's good but not as good as they are. They did this to LGD China. And there must be something in the water down in Malaysia. The letters LGD just respond well, or don't respond well, to the citrus in Orange or something. Because now with that dominant win, they're 1 game away from answering all of their critics and getting themselves back into serious contention here at G1. And the last time they met an LGD squad was LGD International, and they hung a 3-0 on them. Very, very impressive. Very, very strong win. And can't wait to see Game 2 already. Cannot wait to see what Game 2 is going to have in store for us. Well, there we go. I was going to say, want to see the scoreboard come up. 31 minutes and 50 seconds to win. Or the game time, I should say, for this win for Orange. 11-29, the final kill score. And just what a well-executed game of Dota out of them. Up against the wall. Against the team that by all rights should have dominated the mid game. Instead, they just took complete control of the laning phase. They won everywhere they needed to win and rolled it up into one of the more impressive victories I've seen here in G1 League so far. I'm Ayesee, and you're here on One More Game TV2. Make sure you check out the G1 coverage hub, G1.2p.com, during our downtime. But more than anything, make sure you don't go anywhere, as we've got Game 2 of this best of 3 coming up next.